We'll go ahead and call to order the regular council meeting of Monday, April 7th, 2025, order at 7 p.m. Please rise for the invocation provided by Councilman Butts. The Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity we have of serving you. We pray that you help us to make wise decisions, help us to help the city to grow and to not have any problems. We pray that you continue to be with each of us, give us the wisdom and the guidance that we need. For we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Does the council entertain a motion to approve the agenda? We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. Do we entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting and executive session of March 17th, 2025?
I so move.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. So do we have any nominations for recognition? And I have a nomination for recognition. I would like to nominate Greg Stumpf and the city crew for a certificate of recognition for the procurement of over $1 million in funding from the state SLIB board. And it was really super impressive. Greg went down, brought us back a whole pile of cash to help us with some of the things that we need to get fixed, like the chlorination system and $300,000 for the garbage truck. I also wanted to nominate Clerk Haggerty, but she's humble and she said that Greg did the lion's share of the work, and then we wanted to also nominate the city crew, because while Greg's away, they have to step it up and try to fill the void when he's missing. So.
I think that deserves an applause.
Are there any other nominations for recognition? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to certificates of recognition, and I don't see any. So we'll move on to the next agenda item, citizens business verbal. Item number 1, Mondale Airport Board for their budget.
I'm not coming up alone, guys, come on.
Don't get my bucks so far acting president of the airport board, Tuck Streeter. With us is Al Parks and Mr. Garrett. A couple things we're coming to you just to let you know that the hangar project, I've been on the airport board almost 2.5 years now. The first meeting I attended as an airport board member, that was thrown in me that they're starting that project. Well, I'll let you know, this week we officially broke ground and are pouring cement today. So we have officially started the hangar project at Mondale Field. We're hoping it will be done in June 15th, please. be 8 hangers, barring, we're hoping it's done. And everything looks like it will be. We've tried to cross all the T's and dot the I's, so hopefully that's it. If you've driven by the airport, you might have seen some dirt work out there, some little equipment. Not a lot, but it is progress, so that's something. The other thing that happened this winter is we had a malfunction on a 50-year-old roll-up door that, I'll let Tuff explain how.
Well, we had a large door for equipment building, where we keep our snowplow and tractor and stuff, and anyway, so just a roll-up door, it's got an automatic door opener on it, and when I was backing into it, or backing up to the door, one time I hit the button to open the door, and it went up fine, and back to snowplow in, and went to put the door down, and I noticed it was ajar a little bit, and looked at it, and two of the rollers had fell off, and it just jerked the whole door sideways in there. Anyway, so I called the door company, and they came and looked at it, and they said, well, 50 years old, it was bound to happen, but there was nothing they could fix on it. It needed all new doors and rollers, which came to about $7,900, which was unexpected. Our budget wouldn't quite, we didn't have that in our budget.
Long story short, with our budget for this current year, with that cost, we're going to end up about $1,700 short of our completed budget. Half of that is $850 of meeting our current expenses. Now, we went to the commissioners last week, explained it to them. They went ahead and authorized covering that $150 to complete our budget through the current year. And that's what we're asking you to do, is complete that shortfall of $1,700. That current completes, hopefully without any other catastrophes in the remaining 3 months. We shouldn't have any other expenses. We'll meet our current, that'll fulfill our current budget.
Will the council entertain a motion to pay the other half of the $1,700 bill to the tune of $850?
I move that we pay the other half of the bill for $850 for the shortage of this year's budget.
Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes.
And one other thing I would like to lay out here, just put out the seed for you guys to think about now, that this hangar project is coming to fruition. That's 8 hangars. We're in the process now as a planning board for the field, as looking at what we want to charge for leasing these hangars. Now, there is going to be electricity costs and that, and we still haven't got compiled exactly what they're going to charge us for the meters and all that yet. But when we get that, there will be an income coming in to the county and the city. And as a board member, I really hate to come to you as a city council and the commissioners when we need an $850 adjustment or a $400 adjustment. What I'd like to throw out there is that fee that we get for the board, for the hangars, go into a secondary fund that if we have an $800 fund, that we use that money to pay those bills. And if you figure out, if I don't know what I charge, but say we use $125 hangar fee a month, that works out to about $12,000 a year if all 8 hangars are rented out, or leased out. So if we had that fund, and say we had a $4,000 expense through the year that we use that money for, that would still leave $8,000 in there. After a year's time, we could say, okay, we've got a surplus now. when they're gonna accumulate, split that 8,000 back up and go 4 to the city, 4 to the county, and then the next year's fund fee goes back into a fund. In other words, not only accumulating a fund for the city, or the airport to keep accumulating, but just keep a fund for a handler expense for $8,000, or something like that. It's just something to think about. We haven't done any planning what might work out, but just lay it out there to think it's an idea. So we don't have to come to you or the county for $100 or $800 or a $4,000 expense. That's unexpected.
And you could show what you're doing every month in your minutes.
Yeah.
Are there any state statutes that you know of that would reflect on this? Or setting up a separate bank account or anything like that?
I don't know what you call it or anything.
They call it an enterprise account. And a lot of boards and communities use enterprise funding to, just like the city does it for water and sewer and garbage. It sounds like you guys would like to set up an enterprise account so that you're able to accrue funding and then be able to use that funding to pay for minor repairs and things of that nature. And I mean, that's kind of like a dream, right? If you guys could start stockpiling money and go under your own steam.
Our last month's meeting was when we just, in fact, I kicked it out and just technically with my calculator thinking, well, now we got these hangers that are coming online and what we could get, boom, boom, and then we're talking about we're gonna have to go to you guys for half of $1,700, and we know that the county's short of funds, and we know you guys are short of funds, and now we've got a revenue base it's not much, but it is coming in, or could come in, we're assuming we're gonna lease these hangers out. I mean, we've had interest in them. So, and that's the next thing that tough to start out is calling people up on the list we've got that, hey.
5 of them already, for sure.
Yeah, so, you know, it's like, there's something we could do that, I don't wanna be where all of a sudden we end up like, man, I got $1,000, yeah, no, but it's something that, man, we need $500, we can get, and then in the next meeting, we say, hey, we got $500 out of this fund for this.
Right.
So when you get the money, you can pay us back the $850.
That's right, yeah, that's a good idea, yeah.
Just kidding. No, you do have expenses on your building like you could. How are they insured,
Yeah,
for
well,
example?
the
Hangers.
the way it works now is, it would fall underneath the county's, and just as far as just the building insurance, that would fall underneath the county's.
The big office hangar out there is a county building.
And county and city.
City and county, and the same insurance you guys have for your office, your shop buildings.
And the new hangars will go right in there.
Go all into that, and then, as far as the way we're probably gonna work is like we have the main building out there right now, as far as, like a liability type, it's just each owner signs a contract, or each renter signs a contract declaring their own liability, knowing that we do not have the liability to cover, you know, if one guy's airplane starts on fire and it burns up the other one, it's his responsibility, his responsibility to have the liability, as opposed to the county and city. We would just have structural insurance on the building.
And the structure, it's an all steel building with concrete floor, there's no wood in it. The only electricity is gonna be for the door and the lights. There's no heating in it. So very minimal electricity. Yeah.
But yeah, but like I say, there will be, you know, incidentals. For instance, if one of the renters were to move out, we have an option of either removing the electrical meter or paying for that electrical meter until the next renter comes in and assumes responsibility for that. So there is a little bit of cost there that you know, just an incidental.
Yeah, and we're waiting from Powder River to give us a cost of whether we want 1 meter to split from 8 hangars or 8 individual meters per hangar and do it that way. We haven't really got Powder River to give us a cost of what they're gonna charge us for the 8 meters, and if they charge us a connection fee, disconnection fee every time or that, so we're still trying to figure out the best economical or easiest way to do that.
Those are the types of questions and conversations you have to have without telling people they're stupid, without boycotting people's businesses, and without making someone an enemy for life. We have to have the conversations about this stuff. And you're right, people are now starting to figure out what all these services are costing, and it's because the conversations are more open and transparent.
Well, and I think that, a lot of people were at the meeting where we hate districts, but I think that trying to create these districts is what makes people talk about what we spend money on.
Mm-hmm.
You've got taxing districts for your museum, your hospital, your fair, your this, your that. It is an ambulance and making sure you guys have EMS services in Weston County more important than making sure that you have a museum or a county fair. Those are the discussions that people are going to have when you're talking about whether you have an ambulance.
The best economical or easiest way to do that, because you got one guy who's got one plug in there that has just one plug in for engineer, another guy that rents a hangar out there, and all of a sudden he's got 17 plug-in hangars and all the lights in the world in there, and he's using all the electricity, well, which is fair. I mean, we're still throwing those things around trying to figure out on a lease agreement how you set that out, so. Come to find out, it was a little bit more complicated than just, oh yeah, look at that one. So, we're trying to get the service there so we get everybody here covered and all the bases covered, so. That's where we're at.
We want to commend you guys on getting it going. I was excited. I drove over there and looked at the equipment moving around and everything, and it's nice to see, because I know you've been working on it.
Yeah, it's really nice to see.
Probably nice, yeah.
Would that account that they set up would be similar to what we do with the fire truck account? That money we put into the account to try to buy fire trucks, and we do that on our budget sheets.
But it has to be whichever because we're joint with you and the county, so whatever, we want to work, so both entities are agreeable to how we do it, so yeah.
That would be, yeah, I haven't talked to the clerk yet to see exactly how it works at the county, whether it would be a separate line item in our budget, and all the money would go and split the cost evenly with the city.
They seemed agreeable to it too, they were, they just, that seemed like a pretty good idea to them, so, we threw it right at them like I just ordered to you now, it's like, okay, it's an idea we just talked about, so. Hopefully it was something that maybe clear up a little money in water when we're worried about funds when someone else in for, geez, I need $850. Any other questions for us?
Everything else to add, you guys?
Thank you for your input.
We're gonna talk about the pay raise tonight, or?
That'd be.
That'll be next on the budget. We have a budget meeting next 4 Okay, we'll be there for that.
Raise.
Okay. Right.
Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 2, Dick Rich with the Newcastle Shine Show.
Well, I'm back for the 19th year. Get approval of using the park and moving forward just like we have for the last 18 years. I've got to turn in the sheet that you normally fill out. I bring it to you, Stacy. So I'm just getting your approval.
What are the dates?
September 20th.
Does the council entertain a motion to approve Dick Rich for the Newcastle Shine Show for its 19th year on September 20th?
Approved Dick Rich for the Shining Show for his 19th year. That's fantastic.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. So have you made any more headway, Mr. Rich, on trying to find somebody to take the helm?
No, that's why we're gonna shoot for 20 and then we're gonna retire.
Are you?
Hopefully.
Is there any prospects?
None.
Oh. Well,
I know a fellow that's on the county commissioners and stuff, he's got a car place right down over here on West Main, and he might be interested in taking over something like that, China.
I already talked to him.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a wonderful event, and I hope somebody picks it up.
Hopefully.
After year 20.
Yeah.
But
We'll see how it goes.
thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
I love it.
Bonnie says she's not doing 20.
We'll see.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 3, Tasha Townsend with the Fall Festival.
I'm back again. It's not my 19th year. Good job, by the way. But it will be the 19th year for the Newcastle Fall Festival. That goes in conjunction with the Newcastle Shine and Show, so on September 20th as well. And I'll get you paperwork, Stacy. So, it was a hit last year. I think I had 47 vendors, plus all the food vendors, and they sold out once again. But it's a good turnout in the park, and it brings a lot of people down.
Do we entertain a motion to approve Tasha Townsend for the Newcastle Fall Festival on September 20th?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion?
I have a question. Greg, will this fall under that new state highway department law about blocking Main Street?
Yes, it's on my agenda to talk to everybody about that tonight. We found out after the meeting with Whiteout about the event coming up, the car event coming up. We are required to get Whiteout permission to use the highway right of way in order to do any kind of special event. They have an application, and I don't know how this one would fall. We'd have to visit with Scott Taylor. There's one that does not require insurance, and there's one that does require insurance. But these will have to be approved before we can move forward with any plans on Main Street or South Side. Anything on side streets that are city streets, we're still totally in control of. But as far as blocking, closing Main Street or South Summit for any event, we're supposed to do correct me if I'm wrong, M27 app permit.
I think that's correct.
Yeah.
But these guys aren't gonna be involved with.
That would be like the drags after the car show.
Well, we got permission a few years ago from the highway department verbally that we could do that.
Yeah, no, we were informed we have to fill out the paperwork. So our heads got popped
This
out
is
right
what it
there,
is.
basically.
Is this like Madness on Main?
No, and that'll be a later time, but that's good to know, thank you. But, no, this is just the fall festival in the park
Chuck and
from
I are-
September 20th,
The
but
engineer and I are working on getting the applications and getting all the details
Okay.
for everybody. So
perfect.
Do you foresee any problem with getting an application approved?
the only thing I can see this year that might be a problem is due to the construction on the bridge. After that, I don't foresee a big issue. Whiteout's in support of the events, so it's just a matter of how we have to do our traffic control and stuff like this. We have to have pre-approved plans, which engineer Bartlett's been working on. So.
Okay.
So I give a check on ours
For the burner.
for the burnouts.
Yeah, Chuck or myself.
Nice.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank
Tasha.
you, Tasha.
It's always a great time.
Thanks.
Moving on to citizens' business in writing. Pokey's barbecue and smokehouse catering permit. It looks like they, paid for everything. Let me read it. Okay, 24-hour catering permit, State of Wyoming, County of Weston, that under and by the virtue of provisions of section 12-4-502 subsection B of the State of Wyoming Alcoholic Beverage Control Laws, the City of Newcastle, County of Weston, State of Wyoming, in consideration of the sum of $20 paid by Rick Schuyler, doing business as Pokey's Barbecue and Smokehouse of the City of Newcastle, County of Weston, hereby licenses, permits, and authorizes said Rick Schuyler, doing business as Pokey's BBQ and Smokehouse, to sell alcoholic and malt beverages in and upon the premise of the Weston County Event Center for an event more specifically described as follows: the Rocky Mountain Elks Foundation banquet. This license for catering permit is for the term of 1 day only, beginning on the 3rd of May 2025 at 09 a.m. and through the 4th day of May 2025 at 09 a.m. Do we have a motion to approve the 24-hour catering permit for Pokey's BBQ and Smokehouse?
So moved.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. Thanks, Stacy. All right, moving on to item number 2, King's Plumbing and Heating plumbing license. King's Plumbing and Heating LLC, Newcastle, Wyoming. The following requested a master plumbing license. All fees have been paid. Copies of their state license and proof of insurance and bond have been provided for 2025. Plumbing contractor, King's Plumbing and Heating LLC. Master plumber, Robin Earl King Jr. Do we have a motion to approve the plumbing license for King's Plumbing and Heating?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes for King's Plumbing and Heating plumbing license. Moving on to number 3, Dave Menzel for sewer forgiveness. Dear City of Newcastle, I was wondering if you could get a little bit of my mother's water bill, since she hasn't lived there since 1/13/2024 and hasn't been using any trash water sewer since then, because she has been a resident of the manor, and I'm glad the meter reader heard the water pipe broke and let me know. Sincerely, Dave Menzel. So the sewer charge,
due to the leak was $749.46.
was $749.46, and it's regularly $19.30. So do we entertain a motion to forgive Dave Menzel's sewer bill to the tune of $730.16?
Good.
There was no evidence of water being pumped out of the building. It drained naturally through the floor drains we saw in the basement. So we're assuming it did go down the sewer, but it is a pretty hefty bill.
Do we have a motion to forgive?
So moved.
Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
I'll do a second for discussion.
Okay, we have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yes. Understand that this is his mother's place, and I believe it's up on Wood Street, if I remember where she lives. So is this resident under him or the mother?
It's under him, under her name.
Yeah.
And then he's her power of attorney.
Okay, I just wanted to see how that was gonna be, because if the account was in her name, we're giving the money back, or saying we're giving him forgiveness to Dave. I wanted to be sure we were correct on where that went to on the account.
So,
And when did the leak occur?
Nobody knows.
I believe it was when
You know,
we
meter?
were reading meters in March, so between the.
March of this year.
Mhm, yes.
So a whole year.
Oh, he dated it 24, but it should be 25. It was this year.
Oh, it was this year.
From January through March, then he had water blowing out in his
March of
basement. Oh,
2025.
wow.
330 to 24, should be 330 to 25.
Correct.
so we have an unoccupied household that was his mother's, and there was a water break.
The new store. This is the one-stop shop. We have a pharmacy. We have a bootlegger's liquor. The deli, the food that you can get at a lunchtime is so amazing. The coffee shop. Certain Friday mornings, there's 30 people sitting here in all these chairs. This is the hub for people to come and visit, have their coffee, have their donuts. It's amazing what this area has done. Totally amazing.
Should be 330 to 25.
Correct.
So we have an unoccupied household that was his mother's, and there was a water break, and water ran down the sewer. So this gentleman would be on the hook for $630.16 if we don't forgive it.
That's just the sewer?
Correct.
Is there any further discussion?
And that's 2 months?
It was just one. It was a lot. It was a bad break.
If I may, Mayor, when we went and investigated it, there were multiple pipes split and running water everywhere. We had a hard time getting on the curb stop. One of our guys actually went into the basement and shut the water off where it was spraying. It was raining inside. So, split the meter, split the piping coming out of the meter, 2 or 3 spots on the ceiling and the spraying as well. So,
Was that basement finished?
no.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. We'll forgive $730.16 to Mr. Menzel. Moving on to old business. Number 1 is ordinance number 1, series 2025, the Farnsworth Dollar General annexation. So ordinance number 1, series 2025, an ordinance annexing territory described in the petition for annexation dated January 10th, 2025, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Newcastle, Weston County, Wyoming, Section 1, Annexation of Territory. The City Council of the City of Newcastle does hereby annex the following described real property and improvements pursuant to the petition for annexation originally dated January 10th, 2025 and filed with the City Clerk. Section 2, compliance with the Wyoming Statute 15-1-403. The petition for annexation filed with the City Clerk is signed and dated by all landowners owning the area sought to be annexed. and contains a legal description of the area sought to be annexed. A request for the described property be annexed, a statement each signer is an owner of the land and description of his land within the area proposed to be annexed, and contained a map of the area, all in compliance with Wyoming Statute 15-1-403. Section 3, compliance with the Wyoming Statute 15-1-403, subsection C and D. The Newcastle City Clerk, within 10 days from the date the petition for annexation was filed, determined the petition substantially complied with the requirements of Wyoming Statute 15-1-403 and certified compliance of the petition pursuant to the provisions of Wyoming Statute 15-1-403 subsection D. Section 4, public hearing. The governing body of the City of Newcastle established a date, time, and place for a public hearing to determine if the proposed annexation complies with the provisions of Wyoming Statute 15-1-402. At the public hearing determined the following. Section 5, effective date. The ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage, approval, and publication. Do we have a motion to approve ordinance number 1, series 2025 on second reading?
I so move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. Moving on to new business. Item number 1, application for sidewalk encroachment and current ordinance. Mr. Chuck Bartlett, city engineer.
Mr. Mayor and Council. Roughly last year sometime, I had a resident from Midtown come complain about Ace Hardware with all the materials that they had stockpiled around their building, and also pointed out that under section 22.3, they were actually supposed to have a permit to do that. And I'm not sure if you guys have seen that section. No. I think it's so anyway, the planning commission has been working on making up an application form. Also some other requirements that are going to be required for that. And so I guess I'm just looking for input from council if you think this form is sufficient. One of the other questions that comes up is if there should be a fee of some sort associated with that. I know downtown, and probably this summer, there's going to be a lot of things out on the sidewalk, and so we want to get a jump on that.
I had spoken with Engineer Bartlett about associating a fee of some sort with the application for sidewalk encroachment. But I was kind of undershooting the mark. I thought $20 would be a fair.
Well, no, we need a revenue source here.
Well, then when I was talking to Mr. Bartlett, he had kind of alluded to, it's a year-long permit, so maybe it should come with a little bit more of a charge.
What would you recommend?
Put me on the spot.
Well, you know what, the cities maybe have the same.
Somewhere between 25 and 50.
Dollars?
Yes.
Well, I was thinking 500.
This is per year, Chuck, or?
Yeah.
Per year?
Yes, per year.
So just leaving stuff on the sidewalk for a year.
And put his table down.
Are they, is there any provisions in there to keep them from putting up a permanent? Putting up a permanent display?
We haven't looked at that. We're just looking at a kind of a yearly type thing. I know the stuff at Ace Hardware has been there for several years.
So it's kind of seasonal though, right?
Yes.
So they bring it out during the warm months and then everything gets hauled in at the end of the...
They bring their topsoil and stuff out in the summer, they bring their ice melt out in the winter.
Oh, the ice melts out there in the winter. I guess I have seen that before. So I can see...
The greenhouse is what takes up most of the, it's on the south side of the building here.
Has anybody complained about
Compressed
it?
gas
Yes.
cage.
Who?
A local resident.
A local resident.
There's been complaints even when it was Frontier, you know, when they're unloading all of their freight right on the street before they can get it put into places. So it's been several years, and I know a previous engineer, like more than that, we went down there and looked at a few things there too, trying to figure out what we needed to do.
So we're talking like Main Street also, like the
Yes.
businesses on Main Street putting
Correct.
things out on the sidewalk in
I think-
front of their business.
I think Donna's Diner has a chair, or a table and chairs out there.
Sagebrush Market.
Right, there's the
I mean,
ice
I
cream
just
cone.
think that kind of thing looks so welcoming to our town. I just don't wanna discourage these business people from doing what they're doing amazing stuff. I mean, you know, we're trying.
So this came up when I was still on the council under the last mayor, and I guess we never addressed it. It was just brought up as a concern. So I think it was my position at the time that, you know, people having some merchandise on the sidewalk is not, as long as it isn't, you know, completely blocking the sidewalk, shouldn't be a problem. You know, it's like you said.
I think it's just, yeah, when people drive in and see that,
Yeah.
I think it looks nice, if it's nice, you know, if they've not just
Like a nice
jumped it up,
display.
yeah.
Not a bunch of junk on the sidewalk. So
So I don't
I
want,
did hear some.
I'm not against a fee, but I don't wanna make it so outrageous that,
You didn't like my 500?
oh, I know.
So I did hear some opposition. Is there any suggestions as to how we should handle this?
Well, if we're not gonna charge the $25, why charge anything at all? I mean, seriously, this is Newcastle, Wyoming. These are our neighbors, our friends, or our business people. Why in the hell would we need anything like this?
Oh, because we have an ordinance on the book. Unless we want to get rid of the entire ordinance, we probably need to address it somehow, but this is the way to address it, right? So we go and get a permit, and then you can have stuff on the sidewalk. But I think that some of the opposition is, then we're gonna give it to people for a year, and then they're gonna put a bunch of stuff on the sidewalk. So is there, anything that says, like, is there an item on here that says that we can't, have specific, like, do they have to list what they're gonna have on the sidewalk? So that we aren't catching them put out, like,
No, they
extra
take care
stuff,
of their,
or-
they take care of the sidewalk in front of their business, like on Main Street, don't they? Like they, in the winter, they shovel.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, no, we take care of the 30 blocks of Main Street. And that's one thing that would need to be addressed in this is having those items off.
Right.
We do with the benches. We put the benches out there on the sidewalks. But come winter time, they get moved off. And they're not put out there, back out there until spring when, to allow for snow removal. But no, we do all the snow removal for at least one time a day.
May I speak?
go ahead.
You might think about doing it seasonally, like spring items and figure out which months would be the best, and then winter items or fall items, whatever you want to use. So if they don't use it in the summer, they don't need the permit, but if they use it in the winter, they would. That would just be an idea, maybe an option.
Split it up every 6 months, and then they need to buy one for summer months or buy one for winter months. Does that sound like a
Well, and I
good
do think
suggestion?
we should have in there that they've gotta have it removed for winter months.
Winter snow removal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or, okay, so maybe just a 6-month permit for spring through summer and
Well, I think-
removal in the fall.
I think the only business that really puts stuff out in the wintertime is gonna be Ace Hardware.
Yeah, they put pellets out there too.
Okay, so do we need to have engineer Bartlett take it back and then revamp it for the seasons? Or what are we looking at, council?
You want it for all year, or you want it for seasons?
I think quarterly would be just fine.
Quarterly.
Oh, you're down to quarterly.
Yeah, we went from 6 months to quarters, biannually to quarters. And then what kind of cost would you put on a quarterly permit?
$10.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna vote against it anyway.
What would the appropriate committee be to have a committee meeting so that we could discuss this a little bit more in depth? Because this isn't done in here. Street sidewalks and.
Streets, Alleys, Buildings Committee, that's John and Darren and me.
Let's propose a streets committee meeting in the near future to discuss this a little bit more in depth.
Community appearance.
Oh, wait a minute, we have another one, he's saying, just a minute. Sanitation community, and yeah, parents.
Community appearance.
Who's on the community appearance?
John Russ, Dan Downs, and Chris Kenny.
Okay.
Oh, good, let's use that one,
All right, fine. We'll call a community appearance committee meeting in the near future. All right, fine. We'll call a community appearance committee meeting in the near future. So, thank you, Engineer Bartlett. If you, do you have anything further?
No, I just gotta go catch the train.
All right, moving on. Thanks, Chuck.
Ty Rollins, may I make a suggestion, please?
My name's Ty Rowell, ma'am.
Ty Rollins.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, I didn't know,
Oh, that's okay.
because Mrs. Gutch always calls you Tyler.
Oh, yeah, some people call me Tyler, but it's Tyrell. Thank you.
May I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Before we do this ordinance on the businesses, why don't you invite all your business owners in here to have a meeting with them, just the city council and the businesses? It's a suggestion. Just have a meeting with them and then have the community come in after that. Why don't you do that?
So the suggestion is to have a town hall with the business owners
Yep.
in
the
regard to
sidewalk
the
stuff.
permit and sidewalk permit.
Because Ace Hardware, that used to be the Lamplighter Lounge, and where the greenhouse is, that was all parking at one point in time. There was no sidewalk there, that was all parking.
I'm a little younger, so it used to be the rock tile for me, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it used to be side parking, so where they got the greenhouse, that's just parking. There's no sidewalk there.
Well, thank you for that suggestion.
It's just a suggestion.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and move on to new business. Item number 2, National Service Day proclamation. I was approached by a member of a 501c3 nonprofit called Serve Wyoming, and they provided me with a proclamation. So it's for the National Service Providers Day, which is the 12th of March. I was kind of slow researching this because I didn't know who they were or why they wanted me to read a proclamation, and now I think it's good. They're a good organization. They've been around since 1994, and they provide services to communities across Wyoming. So, whereas service to others is a hallmark of the American character and central to how we meet our challenges, and whereas the nations are increasingly turning to national service and volunteerism as a cost-effective strategy to meet their needs, and whereas AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps senior participants address the most pressing challenges facing our communities, from educating students for the jobs of the 21st century, to fighting the opioid epidemic, to responding to natural disasters, to supporting veterans and military families, and whereas national service expands economic opportunity by creating more sustainable, resilient communities and providing education, career skills, and leadership abilities for those who serve, and whereas AmeriCorps and AmeriCorps senior participants serve in more than 50,000 locations across the country, bolstering the civic, neighborhood, and faith-based organizations that are so vital to our economic and social well-being, and whereas national service participants increase the impact of organizations they serve, both through their direct service and by managing millions of additional volunteers, and whereas national service represents a unique public-private partnership that invests in community solutions and leverages non-federal resources to strengthen community impact and increase the return on taxpayer dollars. And whereas national service participants demonstrate commitment, dedication, and patriotism by making an intensive commitment to service, a commitment that remains with them in their future endeavors. And whereas Serve Wyoming and AmeriCorps have helped more than 5,150 Wyoming AmeriCorps members who have served 3.7 million hours across our state and have qualified more than 8.7 million in education awards. Whereas Serve Wyoming and AmeriCorps share a priority with local leaders nationwide to engage citizens, improve lives, and strengthen communities, and is joining with the National League of Cities, the National Association of Counties, Cities of Service, and local leaders across the country for National Service Recognition Day on March 12, 2025. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Tyrell Owens, Mayor of Newcastle, Wyoming, do hereby proclaim April 7th, 2025 as National Service Recognition Day, and encourage residents to recognize the positive impact of national service in our community, to thank those who serve, and to find ways to give back to their communities. Yeah, very nice. So I need to get a copy of that to the lady from Okay, sounds great. Thank you. Okay, moving on to committee council member reports. Item number 1, Boys and Girls Club. I told the council last council meeting that I've been in contact with the Boys and Girls Club, and I was trying to move forward with seeing if we could join with the Campbell County Boys and Girls Club, because they're maxed out on clubs. So the only way to join is to join with one that's already established. So last Friday I had a meeting with, and I forgot my notes, council, I'm sorry, but I had a meeting with one of their national representatives located in Texas. And then Brittany, the lady that runs the Campbell County Boys and Girls Club, they're really excited about trying to partner with Newcastle to open a Boys and Girls Club. I was concerned about the impact that it would have on our current services that we provide, but they assured me that they try to work with the current service providers to either incorporate them into their activities or support them. So we still have a member of our community that brought this to me, and she's still wanting to engage in these activities. So I'll just keep the council updated as we proceed. Is there any questions? No? Okay.
I just wanted to remind you of a comment that Mr. Butts made at the last council meeting, and you should discuss that issue with him one more time about funding.
Oh yeah, and Mr. Butts said that Warren Buffett kind of sponsors the Boys and Girls Club. And I was excited that we had a community member that came forward about wanting to start a Big Brothers and Big Sisters because I've seen it work in other communities. Douglas has a really nice Boys and Girls Club, and they get to go and do all kinds of fun stuff.
So does Hill City, and they're half our size.
Yeah, so, and actually in the discussion with Brittany, she said that Wright had approached them. So she was excited that Newcastle had followed suit. And there's like the possibility of becoming like a regional Boys and Girls Club and kind of consolidating all of us together. So I'll keep the council posted as I move forward. Is there any other questions? No. Moving on, police committee meeting. I need to get with the chief and the police committee so that we can address the police committee here in the near future. Maybe the beginning of next week sometime. I have availability on Monday and Tuesday of next week. Then does that work for any of the police committee?
Works for me.
Works for you?
Works for him after 7 o'clock at night or something.
Okay, I'll send out an email and we'll try to determine everybody's
Monday's budget
availability.
here. Monday is budget.
Okay, we'll try not to overlap with the budget meeting. I just need to address the police committee and then try to get some ideas to bring back to the council about an issue that we had and a way to resolve it. So, is there any questions? No. Okay, moving on. Harvard Growth Lab and the Wyoming Business Council Rural Strategies Program. I've been approached by Randy Harlow with the Wyoming Business Council, and I want to see Newcastle engage in some economic development. So they have a pilot program with 7 communities from across the state that are able to work with the Harvard Growth Lab. It's kind of a think tank that helps with technical assistance to communities and ideas. And I don't exactly know how it's going to unfold until the program actually starts, but it's just a service that was brought to me by the Wyoming Business Council as a way to improve economic development in our community. So if any of the council's interested in going to one of the first meetings, we have, she said something about the middle of April. So we'll try not, anybody who's interested, I'll get with you once we firm up the dates, and then you could attend if you'd like. Is there any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to council recognition. So I just wanted to take a moment to recognize the City of Newcastle City Council. I made a site visit to Evanston, Wyoming, and I was able to speak with the mayor in Evanston. Now, the reason for my site visit was my day job, but I had a meeting with somebody from the SLIB office, and they told me that Evanston hadn't applied for any SRF funding that they could remember in recent history. So I went and spoke with the mayor because I was intrigued, because I wanted to know why. We have to beg for money from SRF on the regular to get our projects done. And this community was doing something right. So I spoke with their mayor. He said, well, Mayor Owens, he goes, I would attribute it to a council 40 years ago that adjusted their rates and put it in their ordinances that they had a step increase on their rates every year for cost of living. They had enterprise funding around all of the facilities that the city owned. So they have a municipal golf course as an enterprise account. Their water, sewer, garbage enterprise accounts. They carry a healthy reserve in all of those accounts. And then when they need to fix something, they can pay for it in-house and they don't have to approach the state about SRF funding very often. So I said, it doesn't really work like that in my community, Mayor. And he said, well, I told him that we had just raised our rates and that we had built in adjustments on our rates. And he said, well, it sounds like your council is like the council we had 40 years ago. So I just wanted to commend our council on doing the right thing and getting things adjusted to where they need to be, so that future councils will be able to say that this council planted the seed for them and aided them in the way that they're able to conduct business. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Is there any questions? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to department head reports. Public Works Supervisor Greg Stump.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My first item, the trench drain on East Main Street in South Summit. Engineer Bartlett has the plans complete for that and the proposal package ready to go. We would request permission to send proposals and plans to contractors for this project. The estimated cost of this project is $15,000. The estimated cost of this project is $15,000.
Where was this at, Greg?
It's right here, Hospital Hill.
Oh, that's way.
I'm so used to it, doesn't bother me.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for the car to drop in sometime. It's in bad shape and needs some serious work to get it done.
Do we need a motion? Yep. Does the council entertain a motion for could you recap the ask? Okay.
To send the proposal and plans to contractors for this project, for the East Main Trench Drain project.
Do we have a motion to approve the proposal for the East Drain?
East Main Street Trench Drain.
East Main Street Trench Drain.
I so move.
We have a second. We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion?
Okay, so what we're fixing for $15,000 is that little drain at the bottom of the hill.
Correct.
And somebody's gonna go down in there and clean out the gunk and mud, or what?
No, we're gonna have to cut the concrete off and re-pour a bunch of the concrete on top.
Okay,
The L shelf that holds the grates up, the concrete is fractured and fallen away, it's fallen away underneath of it. So the steel is sitting there bouncing on nothing, and it keeps popping the grates out. So we've actually got to do some pretty serious concrete work to get.
so it gets a lot of concrete, okay, I'm just curious, thank you.
And it's only 15,000?
Near as we can tell.
So far.
That's pretty cheap.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes.
Thank you. My next item, we could not find a contractor that would come to Newcastle and do a chip seal project for a reasonable price. The closest contractor that was even interested in the $200,000 project was out of Utah. They said their mobilization would be like $110,000. Didn't get it. We've been looking at this for some time. We would like, after doing the budget review and going through the budget this year, we found some extra money. The $266,000 we budgeted for a chip seal project. We would need a couple pieces of equipment to go ahead and start doing chip seals ourselves and sealing our own streets. Some type of emulsion applicator unit, and then pneumatic tire rollers. One of them anyway for now. We already have the chip spreaders, so it's just a matter of buying the oil and buying the chips and buying the applicator unit and a roller to be able to do this ourselves. Looking at it, we figured on doing about 2 weeks worth of work each year, so it isn't something we would be doing on a regular, but we would do the project ourselves instead of hiring somebody to do it. We looked at a couple different projects to get started, including doing one gravel road out of the way so we can see how this works and see if we can make it work on those as well. East Main, or East Road over by the park, we actually did the rotor mill and then reseal on that. So that would be something else that we could look at doing as well for some of these roads. We gotta keep the moisture underneath them, and without companies coming in to do the chip seal for us, we've got to figure out a way to do it ourselves.
How much does your roller cost and the equipment?
We're looking at around $130,000 in equipment, and we do have it in the budget this year. We will not have it in the budget next year. We're looking primarily used equipment. But I think we can probably make a go of this. We made a go of the crack sealing, and some of the other work we've done for maintenance. So I would request being able to spend $130,000 out of this budget to buy the applicator unit and a pneumatic tire roller.
Do we have a motion?
I so move, I think that's wonderful. I think what a project, that gets us in a really shape to serve the people.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion?
We have the personnel to be able to do this ourselves. I know we used to do line replacements ourselves, which saved us a lot of money to do, but sometimes we're getting short on staff.
The plan, basically, it's gonna be a 5 to 6 person job, and we would schedule this out, leave 1 or 2 people left to take care of the emergency stuff, meter work. Everybody else will be focused on this for 2 weeks into the year is what we're planning. So it isn't something we would do every month. It isn't something we would do all summer long, but we would plan projects out.
In your 2 weeks' time, how much can you cover? A ballpark, I know you can't.
I'll tell you when we start.
Okay.
We're guessing in 2 weeks we can probably do the section here that we wanted to do: North Summit, East Warwick, North Seneca, North Railway, and then Warwick. So.
What's the life expectancy of this equipment?
Oh, the way we're gonna use it, long time. I mean, it's not something we're gonna be running every day. So I would imagine we'd probably put
I think that's
75 to 100 hours on it.
I think it's a great idea. Having patched the roads, I feel like when we gave up the chip and seal program was when our roads really started to take a dive.
absolutely.
So getting the roads sealed and getting some chips on them is gonna go a long ways. And we have a lot of roads that we've just recently done, like North Summit and Seneca, that could really use some chip seal.
And Mary, that's primarily what we're looking at, is keeping up with what we have. The stuff that's gone, we just have to replace. But from here on out, let's make sure we keep everything good. So that's why we bought the crack seal machine. It's going well. We're getting things sealed up and it's working.
So we have a motion properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes.
Thank you. My next item, I had requested Enberg Miller Engineers submit a proposal or amendment to the original proposal for the chlorination system. This would take us into the design and construction phase of this project. We do have a couple of corrections to make on it. Councilman Stevenson pointed out. The agreement is for all the design and construction phase of this project. We can pay for this with the recent MRG grant we received. And this portion of the engineering is included in that. The project proposal, or the amendment proposal, is for $73,000. I would recommend approval of Mayor Owens to sign the corrected agreement for the amendment to the original contract.
Okay, so the $73,000 covers what?
Design and construction phase of the chlorination system. We're required to add to the system.
And the chlorine system itself from the outfit in Laramie is how much?
The unit itself is $139,000.
Yeah.
But we have brine tank, we have sodium hypochlorite.
200 grand into this.
What's that?
That's over 200,000.
The project's estimated to cost $772,000.
And it's gonna be where?
We're still in the process of determining whether it be a pump station or the tank, one of the two. We did receive full funding through the MRG for this project, including this engineering.
Okay, in the claims that we signed tonight, there's a $6,000, 25206 is $6,000 to Enberg, to this outfit for, it says chlorination system now. And we haven't done this yet? And we're gonna pay them already $6,000? How did one horse get ahead of this cart?
That was the feasibility study and the report on the chlorination that we already received. I don't think I have it with me. This report here. So they looked at the feasibility of it, looked at the costs involved with the project. They reported on the 20-year life and cost of this project versus other types of equipment such as chlorine gas. So that's what the original $6,000 was for, was to do the feasibility study and report on the chlorination issues.
Thank you.
So we entertain a motion to move forward with signing the amended proposal by the mayor. We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes.
Thank you. While doing the budget review, we did find some extra monies that we would like to spend this year on capital pickups. We are going to replace a 2000 Chevy 1500 and a 1999 Ford F-150. The Ford, we have to buy used parts out of junkyards because it's no longer supported. The speedometer quit working, the shifter broke, it's starting to nickel and dime us. We're going to take 2 current day driving pickups and cycle them down to those, sell those, and then buy 2 used pickups. One for the parks and one for the water department. It would replace the foreman's pickup and the parks lead pickup.
Does this go up for a bid?
No, we have to advertise, correct, attorney?
For the sale of the, or for use, yes.
We're looking at
buy the new ones too.
We're looking between 30 and 35,000 for each pickup.
Oh, really? Okay.
The 2 pickups in the last year cost us around between 8 and 10,000 in repairs. So we request permission to start looking for used pickups and to purchase them.
We entertain a motion to move forward with procuring a couple of new pickups for the city shop.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we allow Mr. Stone to move forward with procuring a couple new vehicles.
We have a second?
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? It's all getting really worn out. So I think it's fitting that we move forward with trying to find some new wheels.
It would be pleasurable. So we quit seeing them in the shop so much.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes.
Thank you. The only other item I have is I will be gone next week for the Wyoming Funding Summit, Riverton, Wyoming. So trying to learn how to write grants.
Good job. Glad you got on that.
So the only other thing, we did receive the $300,000 grant for the garbage truck. So the next garbage truck will only cost us $100,000.
Only?
It's better than the $400,000 price tag. Yep. Are there any questions?
Does anybody have any questions for Public Works Supervisor? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 2 under Department Head Reports, Police Chief Derek Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Apologize for my tardiness. I'll hand out the reports now. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
So I've done my calls for service for specific to the police department a little bit differently. I'm still trying to play around with the CAD system because extracting this information isn't the simplest sometimes, and some things blend together and I'm still trying to play around with the CAD system because extracting this information isn't the simplest sometimes, and some things blend together and get lost essentially. It searches by the nature of the call, and sometimes because the nature says one thing doesn't mean there weren't other things found. So this is kind of a rough breakdown of how I was thinking about doing it, but at any rate, our total calls for service are 212. There's 33 traffic stops, 2 DUI arrests, and this is an example of how things get hidden. The DUI arrests resulted from traffic stops, but the nature was changed to DUI. so it's easier to track. So technically, there's actually 35 traffic stops just between those two. Warrants arrests, 3, drug-specific calls, 2. It's another example where things get hidden. You get called to something and end up finding drugs, or it turns into a drug case or whatever. Domestic violence calls, 2. Stalking and harassment calls, 4. One thing I wanted to point out is the stalking and the harassment calls have gone up quite a bit, or the actual cases worked on it, I should say, have gone up quite a bit. And I'm just trying to finish one up that I did, and there's over 85 different pieces of evidence in that one case, and it's only a misdemeanor. So they're they can be very labor intensive. Traffic crashes, 2. Weston County Sheriff's Office calls for service, 152. Upton Police Department, 8. Newcastle Volunteer Fire Department, 12. Weston County Fire Protection District, 5. Upton Volunteer Fire Department, 3. Newcastle Ambulance, 21. Upton Ambulance, 10. Next item I have is we have yet to receive any of the quotes we were promised for the repairs to the roof. We may need to follow up on that and see about at least getting those scuppers repaired, but for whatever reason they haven't sent us a bid on that. The new phone system I talked about a couple months back is finally being installed. They finally got a team mobilized to put that system in. It should be completed this week, probably even within the next couple of days. That's going to help streamline things for us a little bit. We have 4 applicants for peace officer positions and 1 application for the community service officer position. We're going to be doing interviews on April 23rd for those positions. The marketing video put together by Newsletter Journal is completed. Thank you, Walter. It should be distributed within the next couple of weeks. And that's all I have this evening.
Does anybody have any questions for Chief?
Is the video the only outlet that you're doing to get officers or advertise it for officers?
The only type of media, is that what you're talking about? Yes, at this point, that's the only thing we have going out, but it will be distributed pretty much regionally, and they also are doing some stuff on our Facebook page as well.
The ambulance service, Chief,
yes, sir.
Could you break that down between city calls and the county calls?
Yes, I probably could. I should be able to. I think they have things built into the map where we can show what's what. Do you want it broken down into, because yes, sometimes they get calls at Upton too. You want me to break that out separately as well?
No, they're already separate on here. Upton.
Well, Newcastle Ambulance sometimes will respond to Upton when they don't have an ambulance crew available, so I could break it into the 3.
That'd be good.
Okay. Yep, I'll make a note of that.
So this was helpful, Chief, that you broke this down into the different categories of calls. Mm-hmm. But then what happened to the other 160?
Yeah, you had 40
Yeah. I figured that question was coming. They're calls that are, I figured it would be of less interest, things like bin inspections and citizen assists and I guess I consider
so these are
more major types of
more
things.
Major,
yeah.
More gravity to these calls, and
right.
The rest are just regular everyday duty.
Right. Typically more labor intensive, time consuming types of calls, more significant danger, if you will, I guess.
No, it makes sense.
But I'm kind of playing with it. This is my first run at it to see how I can do it with some sort of efficiency, but yet convey the meaning that we need to convey at the same time. I'm still playing around, so that's subject to change going forward.
Thanks, chief.
Yeah, thanks.
Do you have an ETA for the generator for dispatch?
It is, I think they said 38 weeks out about a month ago. So 34 weeks out. Yeah. So it's going to be a while.
Wow.
But we should have a transfer switch here directly that they're going to go ahead and wire in. And that way, in the event of a power outage, we can actually plug a generator into that. Just a small generator. It wouldn't run the HVAC and all that stuff, but we could basically shut everything down with the main bare bones stuff that we need. We do have a portable generator available for that that Gilbert has. So
Okay, we're just looking, we're going into spring and thunderstorm season, just.
Right. And most of those are short enough duration that we're off batteries for that short of a period of time. But if we do have any outage longer than a couple of hours, we would need the backup generator plugged into it.
Some of my questions that I had, you kind of touched on when you gave this here, because I had things I wanted to ask you was the application process, which you kind of touched here. And we've only gotten 4 in for the last couple months then?
Yeah, probably the last 3 months, I would say. Yeah. I guess one of them's a little older than that. Yeah, there's, like I said, the 4 for the peace officer, and then the one for the community service officer position just came in. So
yeah. And the advertising was one that, and you said you got the newsletter journal piece out and trying to get this one, anything like on the law enforcement side that you have available, like the DCI site.
It's been out there.
How long has it been out in those areas already?
It's been out there ever since I've been here, basically. Yeah, so.
It's on that site, and is there any way to refresh it, or like sometimes on Facebook you can do a boost?
Yeah.
Can you do that on DCI or any of those?
I don't think so. It still shows that we have 3 positions available, because that's what we still have available. But it's in a list but almost every department in the state is looking for help. So
Years ago, we did some stuff with that police one.
Yep.
Are you still on that one?
We are not using that one. It was pretty expensive, and frankly, it didn't seem to draw a lot. And what it did draw wasn't the greatest to select from. So we elected to try to utilize our money elsewhere. It was to the tune of $350 a month or something like that, I think. So, and like I said, in my experience, it wasn't very fruitful, yes, to put it simply, without going into too much detail.
Well, just out of curiosity, what can you put on that site?
On Police One? I don't honestly recall exactly what you can put on there. I think it's mainly just text-based stuff.
Well, you can't advertise elk hunting or
I think you can do that as long as it's in text form, but as far as putting like videos and things like that on there, I'm not sure if you can do that or not. I would have to look into it a little bit more. I had Carrie look into it, and we decided for the, bang for the buck type of thing, and how unsuccessful it was in the past, that we would try something different. So,
okay.
Any further questions for Chief?
Do the applications look positive?
We'll see. I'll tell
So
you after the
you're doing
23rd.
interviews on the 23rd?
Yes.
Any further questions for Chief? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 3, Attorney Dublin Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, I was tasked with amending the current water agreement with Cambria Services District. The only amendments that I have would be basically about 4 lines down. It reads, Cambria agrees that this rate of $2.76 per 1,000 gallons of water shall be subject to City Ordinance Section 26-19A2, base rate percentage increases or decreases for within the city water customers. And then I basically added a catch line at the very end on the back page of the same paragraph that states, Cambria further agrees that the increases and decreases applied to within the city water customers since October 1st, 2013 shall be observed in calculating the base rate. What I'm asking for here is basically just to allow me to send this to Cambria Services District for their approval.
In addition to the weekly printed version of the newsletter journal, we also promote our community and share important information on our award-winning website, newslj.com, and in our weekly email newsletter, Nuke Now. We also connect with readers through various social media platforms and invite you to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can even take a look at a recent meeting of the City Council, School Board, or County Commission on our YouTube channel. We do hope that you will go to newslj.com and subscribe today, and we look forward to making all of our great content available to you. But regardless of your level of support, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing your part to preserve a free and independent local press.
What I'm asking for here is basically just to allow me to send this to Cambria Services District for their approval.
Do we entertain a motion to send the amendment to the water agreement to the Cambria, is it improvement in service or water? Improvement in service district.
I make a motion that we allow, you to, send the amendment, water amendment, agreement to Cambria Water Improvement District to review and accept.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes.
Thank you, Council. The next thing that I have is the dog barking ordinance. I have kind of arrived at the opinion that there's not really a great way to really cut this. The reason is that some people will think of dog barking a few times as a huge nuisance, and then some people who have, 15 dogs in their backyard that are howling at the moon are going to think that it's completely fine. What I have is the only change really is under subsection A, and it just states excessively barks, howls, or yowls while outdoors and disturbs the peace and tranquility of any person on 2 or more occasions. The one thing I did want to give was the council's opinion on the number 2, as well as the chief's position on there having to be 2 separate occasions for the citation.
As far as the 2 separate occasions, I know for the longest time it was kind of an unwritten rule, if you will, that the police department would not just automatically cite somebody for a barking dog. They would make sure they were issued 1 warning prior to that, and then the second occurrence they would go back and follow up with a citation. That's probably a pretty good policy. You can either write it in the ordinance, or that can be a discretionary thing, either or. But I think just, if somebody has an animal that hasn't been an issue at all before, it's no different than a person, frankly. If you have a perfectly clean driving record and you've made some minor traffic infractions, it helps a lot to give that person a warning to say, hey, please correct this behavior, because that's the idea, to bring people in compliance in the least invasive manner possible.
I guess back in the day, they were told to have the officer sit for 10 minutes and listen, and if the dog continued to bark over that 10-minute time period, then it was a citable offense or an enforceable offense. So But it wasn't just a few barks, and then that person that we talked about at the beginning of this is like, oh my gosh, that's terrible, and then the other person's like, I don't even hear anything because their dogs are all howling at the moon.
I guess I would just ask for, any direction from the council on what they, would like to do. Frankly, I think you could keep it to where it excessively barks, howls, or yells by outdoors and disturbs the peace and tranquility of any person, and leave it at that.
I think so.
Don't
put in an amount.
Yeah, and then don't put in the on 2 or more occasions. I think that could be amended easily, and that way it would, there's at least some discretion that can be given.
Right.
So.
I think the officer's discretion has a lot to play into it too, right?
Yeah, I don't ever want anything written that takes away their discretion, so to say, at least in its entirety. Sometimes you need to take some of that away, but not all of it.
On the first time, it could be sitting there rabid. We don't want 2 of those,
Well,
I agree with.
if that's everyone's opinion, I guess I would move to amend ordinance, Stacy, this would be number 2, correct? Okay. Ordinance number 2, subsection A, to read, excessively barks, howls, or yowls by outdoors and disturbs the peace and tranquility of any person.
Yeah.
And then I'd also ask the council for a motion to approve ordinance number 2.
I'd make a motion to approve ordinance number 2, 2025, as amended.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded, is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion?
Yep.
Oh, go ahead.
I have one big dog in my front yard. Somebody was in my yard and he barked twice. Am I gonna get in trouble for intruders in my yard and I have a guard dog? That's a question for the
We can't predict the future, ma'am, and we do have to do something about
I know we
animals
have
that
to
are
do
yowling
about.
and disturbing the peace. If your animals disturb the peace, the ordinance says that you're gonna end up getting a citation.
And,
Keep your dog from barking. It's your management problem.
It says excessively barks.
So you said 2 barks, that
2
doesn't
barks
seem
because there was
excessive
somebody
to me.
in my yard, an intruder.
Okay, you heard the motion, you heard it, it says excessively barks, yowls, or howls while outdoors and disturbs the peace and tranquility. And so if your dog barks twice, that's not that.
Okay.
And we have officers that are, they're good and smart people. They're not gonna come in and harass you because you have a dog, so let's let it go.
Is there any further discussion?
Nope.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes, ordinance number 2, series 2025. On first reading.
Thank you, council. The last thing that I would like to bring to the council's attention, this kind of came up out of the blue, and it's somewhat time sensitive, but there's a gentleman who lives in town, and he was deeded a piece of property from the city. This came to my attention from actually the title company here in town, Black Hills Title. And reading the legal description, obviously nothing stands out, but when you actually look at the assessor's office printout, clearly the legal description as it was drafted in this gentleman's deed was incorrect. And so the main thing with that is that he, as of right now, is terminally ill, and he is in, I believe he's in the hospital, and obviously if, this piece of property were to transfer via probate or trust or whatever it might be, he's gonna end up having some issues in terms of how that basically moves forward. I just wanted to keep the council in the know because I'm probably gonna be pestering Greg Stumpf as well as Engineer Bartlett to try to figure out kind of what's going on. One of my favorite parts of the job is, pestering Engineer Bartlett's. But I just wanted the council to know, it does seem like it's an incomplete legal description, and I think we'll be able to figure it out for this gentleman. So that's all I have, council. Thank you.
Any further questions for Attorney Hughes? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 4, Clerk Treasurer Stacy Haggerty.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to remind the council that our budget workshop is scheduled for 5 o'clock on the 14th. That's next Monday. And the only other item I had was to request the closure of the City Hall office at noon on Good Friday, April 18th, if possible. As we have done in the past.
Good Friday to close.
Do we have a motion to close City Hall on Good Friday at noon?
I so move.
Second.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. Good Friday to close.
That's all I have.
That's all you have? Any further questions for Clerk Treasurer Stacy? All right, moving on to claims against the city dated April 7th, 2025.
Your Honor, I move that this city pay its bills.
We have a motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes. We're going to pay our bills. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passes, adjourned at 8:38.